o'clock. My goodness, what's he trying to get out here 2 minutes early every
I
day?
was trying.
God, dang.
Well, we'll still have to vote on that as far as the amendment.
Yeah.
That'll be your recommendation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna work information to change it from
Yeah.
approving.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, if I can have your attention, at 6:25, we have a public hearing. The public hearing is an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance of the city of Loudon, Tennessee by removing 14-10006E, and this was what was directed by the National Park Service, I think.
Department of the Interior.
Okay, all right. Anybody here to address council on that matter? Okay, if not hearing any, we will close the public hearing and open back up at 6:30.
I thought for sure that's why everybody was here.
Yeah. Oh, have such a crowd.
That's Kenny, I said, maybe if we do the public opinion. He said, you made me think I missed it.
Did it work?
It worked.
I was sitting there, I was just like, ran in, 6:25.
6:25. Yeah, Melissa thought it was 6:15.
I did.
Well, I saw it was 6:14, I was like, oh, do we have them at 6:15? I ran in real quick.
She's stressing the rest of us out with it.
Everybody.
They're worried about going out.
All council needs to stress.
Nobody? If anybody needs to address council, please sign in. We'll take that up at 6:30. If you have something you want to speak to council about, please sign in.
Hey.
If you're just here for entertainment, then you don't have to sign in.
See Kenny afterwards.
Yeah.
Is she okay before I get out the door?
You are now on.
I don't think you can.
It's being recorded. No,
Oh,
it
it
really
is.
is. Yes, it is
Yeah, it is being
being recorded now. So please don't. Thank you. One of the reasons I thought about taking some, that's why I took it away from you. I have utmost confidence.
It should be Chris Price.
He's Bart.
Yeah.
Which one?
The one on, this one is for my recorder. That
This would
one's a
get, this would
speaker.
get you.
That's a microphone.
Peanut clip off of it.
Oh, I did, yeah. He puts his clip to mute it, you have to hold down.
Yeah.
It's recording the whole time.
It is.
Pino puts a paper clip on his.
Kenny, these are not. These don't record.
No, no, but
Yeah, it's.
He doesn't like the
it's-
broadcast out. So he puts a clip on it.
Don't break for Faraday.
Oh, really?
Oh, my word. Well, are you the one who did this?
No. I don't do destructive stuff.
Well, that's not destructive, that's just not constructive. Exactly. It's not the easiest thing to use to erase, you have to catch. I'm willing to planning commission with that. I ran into this last week.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. We're gonna go to that clock over the conference room, 6:31. So we'll call the meeting to order. First item of business is the invocation and the pledge, and we have special guests with us tonight. Colin Cam Goins is gonna do our pledge of allegiance. I call them the Sons of Thunder, they're gonna take care of that for us. And, Manager Owens is gonna do our invocation, so if you could stand with us, please. Manager Owens is gonna lead us in the prayer, and then Colin Cam will lead us in the pledge.
Okay, thanks. God, we thank you for a day to come out and do the people's business. God, we thank you for what a beautiful day you've given us. We just thank you for people who will serve our community like these council members and people who come out and just take part in the meetings, whether it's staff or whether it's the public. God, we ask you that you help us in our decisions, you help us keep you first in everything we do. It's in your son Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
Pledge
allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Y'all can be seated if the boys and Kevin will join me up here in front. No? Yeah, go up here.
You got your head.
Yeah.
More than you know.
Okay, we have coin for you. Pin like your dad's got on there. Flag. Same for you. And Manager Goins, coin for you, sir. Challenge coin. Thank you. Appreciate it, guys. Let's have a picture made here. All right. Thank you, guys. All right, roll call, please.
Mayor Harris,
Here.
Vice Mayor Dixon,
Here.
Councilmember Cardwell,
Here.
Councilmember Newman,
Here.
Councilmember Ridings. Thank you.
Okay, item D, mayor's welcome. We're gonna skip that since everybody pretty much knows each other here and how we conduct our business. So I'll skip that and, just say welcome. Thank y'all for coming. I think we have a visitor here from the Leadership Loudon County class. Ma'am, thank you for being here. Ask her if she have to take a signed piece of paper saying she attended, but it's honor system, so glad she was able to be here with us. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda.
Mayor,
Yes,
I would like to postpone one item,
okay,
and it be in the ordinances, number 3.
under K.
Yes.
Okay, so are you making a motion to,
Postpone that till next month, so we
okay,
have time to look at it more and workshop it again next month.
next month? Okay, do we have a second on that motion?
Which one is it?
It's the holiday pay. and-
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for the 12-hour shifts.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion is second. Any questions on what we're doing and why?
What are we looking to correct on? Or what are we looking to workshop and correct on there?
I guess.
Yeah.
Mayor, Vice Mayor Dixon has.
There's just some regulations on there, on the sick leave and the agreement that we're gonna take an extra look at and see what we might be able to do there.
So, wait a minute, I wanna make sure. It's K3?
K3.
Okay.
And it's just to, workshop again for more clarification, I guess?
Yes.
You've got some questions?
What might be.
Okay, I have a motion is second. Any other questions? Eric, you have any other questions? Or was your question answered?
I think, I'm just, I guess, trying to figure out what we want to fix, the bereavement and the vacation and, personal day accrual, is that what it is? Or
The sick time and the bereavement.
sick
We'll
time?
take a look. The vacation time is basically for set.
Gotcha.
We came across a couple of things today that gave us a little, maybe we ought to look at this before we take it forward, so we want to bring that back to our workshop.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, that get your question answered. Any other question? Anybody else have a question about tabling that till next month? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Okay, no?
No.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Mayor, I also have an adjustment to, item under number 1 under resolutions approving the downtown master plan.
Okay,
Modify that from approving the plan, because we're not ready for that, to an update on the plan.
okay, and I think that reason is because Kathy's here, she can't give us an update, she just can't present us with.
Yeah, because we're just not ready for a plan to be approved.
Okay, maybe you have a
So,
question?
yes, please, for clarification, so I'm understanding, my understanding is if we're not approving the resolution, we're just pulling the resolution, but she's going to speak. Is
Yes,
that correct?
yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So we have a motion for that, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, any questions on that?
Oh, and maybe, and do we need to move it from resolution to other since an update, or does it matter to you?
Not to me.
Okay,
Okay.
then it stands.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion and a second to change the wording for an update, and basically we're pulling the resolution. Okay. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now, we need a motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
Make a motion that we adopt as amended.
Okay, we have a second. Have a motion and a second. Any questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Citizens input, I don't think anybody signed in unless someone's come in last minute here, that would like to address council, anyone? Okay, thank y'all for being here again. Okay, next item is approval of the minutes from regular meeting, March 24th of 2025. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Make a motion.
Do we have a motion? Do I have a second? Have a motion and a second. Any questions? I know our attorney's not here, but he did approve the minutes and approve those. Okay, no questions. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next item is the amended resolution to update a downtown master plan consulting service agreement. Kathy?
No, it's not an amendment, it's.
She just provided an update.
We're not passing a resolution.
That's correct.
Yeah, she just did an update.
That workshop, I talked to you a little bit about, the selection committee, put this back up for you guys. Had, reviewed all the, requests for qualifications, they narrowed it down to 5, and then they interviewed 5, and the top one, when we got the proposal with the cost, when you do requests for qualifications for professional services, you cannot negotiate price until you've selected a consultant. We went to them, they come back, and it was pretty high, just shy of $300,000. So we went to the second consultant, which is Michael Watkins Architecture, and I did not get their proposal until a little after 3 today, so that's why we wanted to hold off on passing resolution until the committee can sit down and talk about it and see. It is lower, but we still might have some things that we want to do to pull some things or try to negotiate that down a little bit more, so.
Does that do anything with your time? You're trying to get it finished by the end of the year? Does that?
We're just gonna be pushing it, but, I think it's best that we just pause and come back in May, so the council, has a good idea what's included and what the cost is, and us adjust the budget if we need to for fiscal year 26, to, come in line with what the costs are.
I just know it's gonna be a tight window, but
It's gonna be a tight window.
Yeah, and I think that timeline is one that we set, and I don't think there was any other.
The only reason was because of, the state grant through the Tennessee Downtowns. That work has to be done by the end of the year.
Yeah.
So, but we may play with some, finesse that a little bit at the
Yeah,
end.
because you redefine what work.
Yeah.
Because we use like the
Yeah.
different phases of the plan
Yes,
can be
we
considered
can.
the work.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Well, we can. So I think we can finesse that. So, but right now, we just wanna make sure that, we're getting the best deal for the city and getting the best plan, that has some actionable items that you all can use to implement between now and 10, 15, 20 years from now or sooner, so.
okay. Any questions for Kathy on the update?
Yeah, I just want to give an update too, sitting through all those, interviews, and I think the mayor said through, if not all of them, most of them, all the guys that we interviewed, were qualified. I think we'd be happy with any of the top 5. Some of the things that we're looking at that sort of separated is, as I've told the mayor several times, I don't want to buy a $100,000 picture. I'm looking for something that has the detail, and especially around the economic development part of it.
Yeah.
Because that's the purpose. We gotta get a viable downtown, it means viable economically. So, it's well worth the time. We hope it's gonna be well worth the money. We're just trying to get the best value for it, but, I don't want to be sticker shock because, we're talking a multi-million-dollar project in the long run. We wanna make sure we have it done correctly before we start.
And make sure it's an achievable plan,
Yes.
like you said.
Yes.
It can actually be implemented.
Yeah, we didn't want one a pie in the sky that there's no way we can do it. We wanted one that would fit Loudon. We get community buy-in, we get business buy-in, and that people can rally behind. And these folks can do it. We're just trying to get the best value. So we don't want to also shortchange yourself on the other end of it also.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Any
And
other-
Loudon Live will help a lot with, the community engagement part, so that's some things that we can look at and hopefully, massage the proposals. Some of the things I'm gonna recommend that they do is do some community block parties where they can go out into the neighborhoods and let's go to the people instead of waiting for the people to come to us. So we can help a lot on that, so the consultant's not traveling in and having to do all this, so save a little bit there, so hopefully we can save some money there and us working it as
Yeah.
well.
Any other question for Kathy?
I
Okay,
want to talk to you about that.
all right.
Don't leave, you're up next.
Yeah, you're
I'll just stay
still on deck.
Can we just stay here all night?
Next item is amending the awning grant application for the City of Loudon's Courthouse Square revitalization.
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, any questions about that? I think we covered that in the workshop pretty thoroughly, and Kathy's attached copy is pretty self-explanatory. Okay, any questions? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next item is amending the site grant application for the City of Loudon's Courthouse Square
Motion to
revitalization.
approve.
Have a motion, have a second.
Second.
Motion and second. Any questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Next one is amending the program policies and procedures and application for the City of Loudon's Courthouse Square revitalization, commercial building rehabilitation.
Motion to approve.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Any questions? All those items Kathy was very instrumental in developing them, so naturally should be the one to edit them and update them.
And I will say, just for y'all's knowledge, and definitely Megan's and Melissa's, I received actually a commercial building rehab application last week. So it's on the old forms. I have not sent it out
Oh,
for
okay.
the committee's
Yeah, to
approval
be
yet,
approved.
because I was needing their W-9 forms, so just don't be surprised to get one on the old form. after this is-
Last one coming through.
Yeah, so.
Okay, we have a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you guys.
Thank you, Kathy. Next item is acknowledging the TCRS rate, which is going up a little bit. It's increased to 5.34% for general employees and 8.84% for public safety officers.
I'm making a motion to approve.
So,
Have a motion and a second. Any questions about the
is there any
TCRS?
progress on the hazardous use?
Yes, sir, we plan to workshop it next month. TCRS requires that we approve a resolution authorizing an actuarial study to be completed by an independent agency at the cost of $400. So we'll workshop and discuss that next month and see if we can get a vote to get that study going. And that study will tell us the cost of the provision.
And the study's $400.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yes,
Mike.
yes, you're welcome.
And then we'll have to have the study to see how much it's gonna cost us. Okay, we have a motion and a second. I don't think we voted on that yet. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, next item is authorizing 2 squad vehicles to be considered surplus. These were brought to our attention by Public Safety Director Mike Brubaker. One will be donated to Blount County Regional Training Academy, and I guess auctioned off on Compass. So our action here is to surplus them.
I'm making a motion to approve.
We have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion is second, any questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next item is authorizing certain facilities and maintenance department items and equipment to be considered surplus by our facilities maintenance director, Mark Harrell.
Motion to approve.
Okay, motion to approve. Have a second?
Second.
Does anybody need to discuss the items again? No, Mark's ready to.
No, I'm not. Just,
Okay.
I mean, just,
Thank y'all, Mark, and your staff for identifying these things. Any questions? No questions, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Next item is authorizing the purchase and installation of signage in the Lions Club Pavilion area. Mark, recommended this purchase of an LED signage. It's gonna be placed on Highway 72. You see a picture of it on the screen at the Lions Club Pavilion. This money was already budgeted, it's in his budget. What's the pleasure of
I'll
council?
make a motion to approve it.
Have a motion, have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Either one you wanna pick? Any questions?
Second.
Any question about the sign?
What's the time frame?
well, it takes anywhere from 6 to 12 weeks to get it in. We'll order it in the morning because of the deadline we're under. And you had a question I would like to offer an answer to, and possibly John and I were talking earlier about the location of the sign. We have to be at least 75 feet off the center line, and so the
Okay.
location is very close to where we hang banners and things down. There'll be a variance maybe of 10 feet there. Also, Kimley Horn and their master plan work that they're doing, they are really pushing that we make a grand entrance way to the park. And we want to make sure that all the electric and everything is far enough away from where they think the proposed entrance should be, which is very close to that. So, if the entrance is built in the future, this sign will be out of the way.
Are you gonna keep the sign there for the banners that's there now? You gonna keep it? You'll be taking it down?
Probably cut down one of the trees, and we'll take down the message board at the entrance of Rock Spring Road as well.
Yeah,
This
that's
time
up
will
in
help
the air.
us, with other activities, because we can't promote other activities from other organizations like DCU, on our message board, but with this, we'll be able to program it, put it up there, take it down the next day, so
Yeah.
everybody sees it.
And you can have more than one message scrolling too
Yes.
at one time.
And, I understand Manager Goins, you're working to where they can do remote update versus having to take the laptop to it.
Yeah, that's something we'd like to talk with our IT staff, to figure out how to get that done.
Okay. All right, any other questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next item is amending the resolution 2024-19, the pay classification plan, which was adopted May 28, 2024. And we've just determined, I think our city engineer, Michael Hogan, thank him for his work on this, that the market survey data indicates we need to increase our planner salary. We've promoted by $10,000. This would be included in the current pay classification plan for the planner position.
Which one is?
That's
Oh,
number 9.
I'm this is just,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So it's increasing just that position by 10,000.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, and a second, any questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Let's get her in here, Michael. Yeah. Hamlin say build it, let's get her in here. Yeah. Item number 10, authorizing contract with East Tennessee Development District to provide for local planning advisory services, which we have that, we've had it since 2023. They've sent it in here, and I think Michael has, reviewed it and changed the scope a little bit.
Yeah, and I think this time we're gonna work on, as it states in the contract that you had there, we're gonna develop a work plan. And with the decision you just made, that hire, we'll develop that more, and
Yeah.
but it'll be kind of heavily GIS based,
Based.
maintaining our zoning map and some other kind of planning related stuff like that.
Yeah, with the absence of a planner in there, we really depend on them to provide planning services for us. So we can kind of shift that if we get a person in and require more, maybe more GIS
Now,
stuff.
at the workshop, you said there was no change in costs from current fiscal year. Is that still hold?
Yes, sir.
We're just gonna change the scope, since we'll have,
And of course, I'll ask you next year, but after having the planner on, how it'll change the nature of this, and do we need as much? And, okay. Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, now we've got down to our ordinances, just one, no, we have two. Ordinance on second reading is amending the zoning ordinance of the city of Loudon by removing 14-1006 E.
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve, we have a second.
Second.
Motion is second, any questions? We did have a public hearing
Which
on
one
that.
was that?
That's the historic zoning, to remove that one sentence that the Department of Interior
And
wanted.
it's basically their recommendation, yeah. Okay, any other questions? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Cardwell.
Aye.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Dixon.
Aye.
Councilmember Ridings.
Aye.
Mayor Harris.
Aye.
Thank you.
I just asked, as soon as it gets signed and something I can send back to the state, if you can email that to me. So I'll say, here it is, and get it to Dr. Tilner, and she'll get it to the Department of Interior.
Okay. All right, now ordinance on first reading. This is an ordinance of the city of Loudon amending Title V of the municipal code regarding the municipal procurement code by referencing TCA 12-3-1207. So Melissa, do you wanna, does anybody have any questions about that? Melissa brought this up to us, I think, at the workshop.
Motion to approve.
Okay,
Second.
motion is second. Any questions of what we're doing and why? Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Cardwell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Dixon.
Aye.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Councilmember Ridings.
Aye.
Mayor Harris.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll set a public hearing for 6:20 on that one. And
On May
then,
27th.
yes, and then the second, our ordinance on first reading is amending the personnel rules and regulations of the city of Loudon. This was recommendation by City Manager Goins to reduce the minimum time in position from 2 years to 6 months. And we discussed that pretty thoroughly at the workshop. Nothing's really changed in that. That was presented. It's included in your packet. It's really for all job postings.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second. Any questions?
It also includes that other change that said all posted
Yeah.
positions, not just transfers and promotions.
Yeah. So it just really cleaned that up. Okay, any questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Cardwell.
Aye.
Councilmember Ridings.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dixon.
Aye.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Harris.
Aye.
Thank you.
And item 3 was tabled, so we don't have to cover it.
And you want to?
We'll go 6:25.
6:25, thank you, sir.
All right, next item is nothing to vote on, it's just for your information, fuel quote comparison. The low quote for the purchase of fuel was received by Rogers Petroleum for the projected amount of $17,246.25. That was on April 15th. Then we're gonna have a fiscal year 2025-2026 budget preview by Manager Goins and City Recorder Huskin.
Thank you.
Floor is
Mayor.
yours.
I would like to invite Kathy Price up to talk
Okay.
about the courthouse square fund first.
Okay.
God, we'll get tired of me before the night's over.
Yeah. And his big eyes.
To give you all a little bit of update about the bill that was in the legislature, it got all the way to the back of the budget and never got voted on. So I assume it'll be in the very top of the list next fiscal year when the General Assembly comes back.
At least it's still going for now.
Yeah,
Did
so,
you-
and I think they probably did that. They ran out of time, one, they were wanting to get out, and then plus, they've got till, the end of 2028, so I think they feel like they have some time. So I think it's got momentum. The Lieutenant Governor, he gave his support of it. He sent a message that he's supporting it, so we've got his backing, which is also our state senator. So So I'm very positive about it, we'll just stay on it this next year.
Now, the bill is for it to be for indefinite.
Indefinitely, yeah, they're gonna remove a sunset, so it would be indefinite, and if y'all look at that fund, you see how important it is to the
Oh,
city,
yeah.
so, and we get to do a lot of different things that we would normally not be able to do in the downtown area, so we are projecting, if you'll see this, spreadsheet, we did what the adopted budget was for this fiscal year, where we're at year to date as of the end of March, and year-end projections, so, we're looking, the state sales tax was 321, 270, 223, that's not gonna change. Above budget, what we budgeted, so we're proposing 300,000 for this next fiscal year. Didn't wanna do it just exactly, cause I think they tried to catch up on some things that, some people that were a little bit behind on their taxes this last year, so we budgeted for 300,000, if y'all approve that. Interest earnings, year to date, we're right at $50,000 in interest, and we budgeted 30, so end of year projections, and that's just based on what we've received so far and what we think we'll get within the next few months to the end of June 30th. So we're upping that to $40,000 this coming year as the budget, or requesting it. And a new line item is called state grant for $54,000. And this is that historic preservation grant. If we receive that, it will be able, we have some things budgeted on the expense side. So this would be just a reimbursement of those expenses for the historic asset survey. So total revenues for proposed is $324,000 for next fiscal year. We think we're gonna come in for this fiscal year somewhere around $388,000, somewhere around in there. So on the expense side, under administration, advertising, this is the interstate blue sign, as well as any general advertising. I think we've used it this year for, if we had to run ads, like for the, downtown master plan, RFQ, that ad, so if anything comes up through the year, that we've not planned for, we have some cushion there. So we get, this year's 3,000, and we're looking at 3,000 again next year to keep that the same. Professional services this year was $35,000, and it was originally budgeted for historic guidelines update of $20,000, downtown master plan of $15,000. We know right now that the historic guidelines are not gonna get done this fiscal year. And the downtown master plan, we may have some upfront expenses on that one, so we're projecting that we'll probably use the whole 35,000 for the historic downtown master plan, putting that towards that this fiscal year.
And then some probably.
Yeah.
That's the historic survey, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where, because that's the matching part, that
Okay.
60-40 grant.
Yeah. So for FY 26, we are looking at 160,000 in this proposal. It's probably gonna go up because of that downtown master plan, once we've had time to discuss and flesh out exactly what that's gonna cost us, which I'm thinking it's gonna be somewhere between $200,000 and $250,000, just to give you all a ballpark to start thinking about. So that's probably gonna go up, but this 160,000 entails the historic asset survey of 90,000, as well as the update to the historic guidelines of 20,000. And then on this one, I've put in 50,000 for the downtown master plan, and like I said, that might go up a little bit, so this, before next month, we should have that fleshed out a little bit. Downtown development services, this is what you pay for a downtown coordinator. Right now, you've got a budget for 35,000, you'll spend 35,000 this year. We left it as 35,000, but after we become that Main Street community, we will be needing to hire a Main Street director, and we are in discussions of how does that look? Is that a city employee, is that a Loudon Live employee, where's that person gonna be housed at? So that may go up, but for now, I think we leave it at the same. Or if, there's other opportunities where we might put the person, but right now, those are out there for discussion. So right now, we're just leaving it as 35,000, but by the end of the calendar year, we may be coming back and upping that a little bit.
I mean,
I have gotten some, surveys of what other Main Street directors are making, and whether they're employed by the city, whether they're employed by a nonprofit or whom. So I've got some data that will be shared with the city manager and stuff as well on that. Signs and awning grant, we're upping that to 15,000 just because our projections for the end of the year is almost 18,000 this year. For the remaining of FY 25, the only one I have remaining is VIA Solar, and that's a sign and awning grant of $4,000. So we're hoping that'll be paid out by the end of June. So none of that would have to be encumbered into the next fiscal year. We're leaving the same amount for the exterior rehab grant, at $100,000, the same as it is this fiscal year. We're thinking the end of year projections, we're gonna come in about 62.5. Right now, we've got the shops on the square, which they've started, they've cleaned out their windows, sills, so they should be starting construction on that project soon. And that was gonna be about 12,500 a grant. And then the Carmichael Inn, Dover Development, they have sent in a, application, which I've not sent to the committee yet, to redo the decks. There's a lot of rot and stuff on those decks, so they'll be redoing all the decks there. And it will be for the full amount of $37,500 if it's approved. So just keep that in mind. Right now, I'm working with Travis, whether they're not gonna have to go before historic zoning or not,
Yeah, I think they need to,
yeah, so we're talking on that right now too. So
yeah, what you said.
so that's under the commercial grants, under streetscapes. We now have some maintenance for the clock that was installed this last year, so there's $720 for clock maintenance.
And they come in and do that, right? I mean, that's not our people doing it.
No, I think
They come in.
it's a contract with.
Yeah, they're supposed to, that was part of the deal, that
Yeah.
they come in and do maintenance on it.
I hope it doesn't work that long.
And then, decorations, so this fiscal year, what that includes is the hanging baskets downtown with the actual flowers, and I think, Jeff's to take those to, Meadowview probably soon. They're already there. Jeff's already taken them to Meadowview, or somebody from, Facilities Maintenance, Parks and Rec, so getting those done. So this next fiscal year, we've budgeted a little bit more, and this includes self-watering hanging baskets, replacing the baskets we have with self-watering to help, labor from Parks and Rec. It frees up their labor, one, and it saves money for this, we may not come out saving money the first year, but long-term we will save money. I think Jeff and them, it takes 2 people every day watering those plants,
I do the self-water.
Yeah, I mean, at some point you gotta put water in them, don't you?
Well, you'll still have to put a water, but he's not gonna be out there every single day, at least once a week, maybe twice a week in the hottest part. But you're still gonna save on labor cost, as it goes on. And then the other is putting, LED light wraps on the lamp posts downtown. We've got about $2,000 in there for that, and that way we can change lights, colors of lights for the seasons. It also provides some ambiance downtown in the evenings. It's not gonna be light up the place so much that, it's gonna be a safety thing, but it'll add some, ambiance to downtown. So that's what's in there in the decorations. Fountain Triangle, so, next week, this week, they're supposed to start on the Fountain Triangle, which we had $35,000 in there. I think that come in a little bit under budget, didn't it?
So far, yeah.
That's in your budget now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, so hopefully it'll be done by the end of June, but it may not, we may have to cover that going into the fiscal.
So that might come
fiscal
off
year.
completely off, or just a
Might
small?
come completely off, looking at whatever's remaining in that to use towards the downtown master plan, whatever is remaining after that, contract's done, so.
Yeah, we won't, by the time we ask for the budget to be passed, we won't know how
Right.
much of that will come off, so
Okay.
we like to budget.
Just go ahead and base the
We're
total
gonna
now.
budget,
Just to make
okay,
sure.
budget, so. Other downtown improvements, the FY 25, for this fiscal year, we're looking at end of year projections somewhere around 39,000. That was for the parking, striping for the parking places, and some sidewalk restorations. There is gonna be money left out of that, and I would ask that that be moved, for this fiscal year towards the downtown master plan. But for this coming fiscal year 26, we'll put 25,000 just in case there's something comes up through the fiscal year that needs to be done. Sidewalk repairs, anything like that.
And that
needs
comes
to
out
be
of
done.
streetscapes too?
Yes. Yeah, so, total budget, for 26, we're looking at 387,720. If you all agree with that, and don't have anything else to add or take away.
And tourism.
All of them?
Tourism.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, any questions for Kathy on the courthouse square budget?
Go back to the number, please.
Go back to what?
Just the bottom line.
The 387?
Okay, so what was, revenues were 390 something?
Yeah, 394, I think.
We're at 394 for total revenues.
Let me give you a look at fund balances.
No, that's all right, just go back to it.
Okay.
So fund balance is 1.9,
Yes.
and go back to roll back up. Slide down just a little bit.
The biggest line items in professional services.
Yeah, and
And that's gonna increase.
And
I was about to say, is that enough?
That's gonna increase.
Yeah, that may increase.
We just don't know how much.
If there is 50,000 in that number now, would it be safe, based on the information that you have so far, Kathy, to go ahead and just
Well, I
add
have about,
200,000 to that?
out of this fiscal year 25 that we're in now, I'm projecting there's gonna be about $84,000, what we've got budgeted this fiscal year that can go towards that downtown master plan. So then there's 50,000 budgeted there. So after we discuss, John, if we're
There's some
talking,
other stuff in there too, not just.
yeah, it is.
But, I mean, that master plan, that's a one-time hit, and I see no issue with
Yeah.
bringing that out of fund balance.
Yeah.
Which is at almost $2 million. And that's like the key to everything downtown,
That's
so.
right. So we will be increasing that before your
So
meeting.
I think we could probably just do that as an amendment once we know how much.
Yeah.
But I don't mind adding to that because,
I think we'll know how much before you all vote on this budget. I mean,
Okay.
we'll probably know next month. when
But
we all
like I
start.
said,
It is a one-time expense.
yeah,
Yeah, it is.
I said, it's the key to everything. I mean, nothing moves unless we
And
get.
we have the money, I mean, in this
Oh, yeah, I said
fund,
almost
I
$2
mean,
million
we're
bucks in
fine
there.
there, so like I said, we will relook at that as a committee, we talked about, and talk with the city manager about the actual,
Okay. All right, I'm good.
Thank you,
consultant.
Kathy.
You're welcome.
Okay, next, what's next, Melissa?
Thank you. Thank you,
Do you
Kathy.
need me for anything else?
We're good.
Okay,
Thank you.
y'all
Thanks
have
for
a
coming,
good,
Kathy.
have a good
Good evening.
evening.
Okay. I'm gonna go through some of the smaller funds, and then at the end, we'll wrap up with the general fund and the rec fund and preview that again.
Okay.
So let's start with State Street Aid. This is very basic. You can ask me any questions that you have as we go through these, and we'll see, where we get to. So, we have a projected recurring revenue of around $230,000 in this fund. And let me start off again by saying that the State Street Aid Fund, by state statute, can only be used for certain street lighting, sidewalk repairs, paving type items, and anything to take care of our streets. So what we have budgeted is just some dollars for street maintenance and signal maintenance and street lighting that goes into this. And it's a very small fund, so we're looking at a deficit here of 105,000 if we go through, if you should approve this part of the budget.
What was the revenues last year?
It was 3% less than this.
Where's that revenue, where does the revenue come from?
Gasoline,
It's
right?
the
Gasoline?
gasoline tax. And a lot of people think that that's tracked by the gasoline sales inside our city. And that's not true. The state allocates that per capita, so they look at the gasoline tax as a whole that comes into the state, and then they allocate that per
And that's where we
capita.
get
Dinged,
hurt
it's where we get
because
dinged, yeah.
the census is
Correct.
now 5 years old
Mhm.
and we don't show a growing population.
And this is, this is money just in case something comes up. About 120,000 of this is for street lighting, and the rest of it is for something comes up for pothole repair, or we buy all of our salt for the snow out of
Okay,
this.
so out of that, how much are actual known expenditures we're going to do and how much is sort of in that contingent out of that?
The known is the street lighting, which is about 120 a year.
Salt and all that?
Possibly 20, it just depends
You
on
can
if
just
we
send
have
us
a
some
big
later what that
snowstorm.
breakdown is. Because, I mean, if it's a contingent, yeah, it's a deficit, but we may not spend it, so.
Well, let's
I-
look at this. I do have a little bit more detail if we want to roll through. So let me get there.
There it
So those are the revenues.
So that's, we're proposing 220, okay. What's the, oh, interest.
So the utility services went from around 120 as to what I had in my mind to 146. I apologize for that. I recently got word that TVA wants to charge us for the depreciation on our street light poles. And that's something that was discovered when Director Moore from LUB met with TVA this year. So that's a number that we're still trying to get pinned down how much that depreciation will be. So I added just a little bit to take
When they
into
say
that.
pay it, but that's just out of cash flow, that money goes in to reserve fund, we don't actually pay TVA, do we?
We pay LUB,
So we
the way
have
I
to pay
understand it.
the depreciation off of their poles.
It's LUB's poles, right? So we're depreciating their poles.
It's something that we're still investigating, so I put a contingency in there for that.
Yeah, because,
It was discovered in the most recent TVA
I mean,
audit.
they're not a, because we're just a renter of the pole, not the owner of the pole. So I'm not sure why we have to depreciate it.
You shouldn't have to pay for that.
No, because we're paying basically a rent, just like cable TV and all that, they rent space on the pole. We're just renting space for our street lights, right?
I will have to let you take that
Okay.
up with
Yeah,
TVA.
Okay.
In theory, it sounds right.
That's out of my,
Sounds good to me.
I'm sorry, it's
TVA
out of my
thinking it might
power.
not be right.
Yeah.
Common sense tells you that
Yeah.
makes sense.
I will investigate it further.
Okay.
It's based on your comments.
And what's the contract services? It's double?
It's actually split in half because this is the number we put in the budget. This is for pothole patching.
Okay.
We had some things come up with the sidewalk this year. We could use that for that. Anything that comes up that we need to repair in our streets.
And so I understand now why you don't want to keep it in the fund, because if you put in contract services, it gives the manager the ability to just do it and not have to come back for a budget amendment.
If it's less than $25,000.
So I get it now. First I was wondering why you did that versus keeping it in the fund. I got it. Okay,
Raw materials, that's the salt. So,
Yeah, okay, 22,000.
okay. No, I understand now.
any more questions?
Nope.
Okay. Let's see, this is
Maintenance.
the maintenance fund.
This vehicle
This is
maintenance?
vehicle maintenance, and so this is an internal service fund, and the way it works, we have to charge out all of the costs for the fiscal year. And so this is the expected charges for services and the expected operational costs. And this is not that much different than last year, except for that department is asking for this is a tool that would recover and recycle the AC refrigerant when they work on vehicles. We expect this to generate some cost savings, so, because we can actually recycle and it will filter the refrigerant so it can be reused. And then they're also looking at a tire repair station. And that helps with the heavy lifting. They get the tire on there and then they repair it, but they don't have to do as much heavy lifting to work on the tire. Now, what is different about this fund than any of the other funds that we look at is this one is treated like a utility fund, where this dollar amount will not be expensed directly. We'll actually depreciate that over a number of years. Probably 5 years. I haven't looked at the details yet, but really that number is 12,000 divided by 5 or so, maybe 7, depending on the expected useful life of these two pieces of equipment.
So it'd just be depreciated out.
Mm-hmm. Councilmember Cardwell?
We'll talk on that,
Okay.
on how to cash flow that. Okay.
Okay. I wanted to show it in the capital listing, but when it's
No, that's-
purchased, it'll
Because
actually,
it's our choice to do it, is why it's on the
Yes.
capital side.
it will actually hit a balance balance sheet account.
Yeah, because it's a capital item, yeah.
Mhm.
But this other, that account just zeroes out anyway. There's no fund balance or anything. in that account.
Correct.
But that's also where we are accounting for the maintenance of the LUV trucks.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we'll just charge them when they depreciate our poles, we'll charge them more here and make it up, right? There you go.
Well, I think that's between the LUB and TPA, okay?
All right. Maynard Dragones will fight with himself between the city and the
Yeah.
utilities.
Yes.
Okay,
Melissa, let me add that the AC refrigerant purchase is mandated. It's not really negotiable. And there may be another one coming up in a couple of years to, when refrigerant changes, and we may have to add another piece of equipment to that. But right now, we really can't get around that piece of equipment.
is this the new refrigerant?
Yes.
That was our 134A, which is the older one, but most, all the new trucks purchased last year forward are the new refrigerant, R 1234YF.
And so what we considered with that is we maintenance the older trucks in-house. If it's a newer truck, it's still under warranty and would actually be maintenance, somewhere else. And that's why this year we want to get this one, and then in future years, look at the newest refrigerant recycling
We
unit.
have a lot of vehicles under 134, and the vehicles that Mitch is talking about are a couple of years down the road, running out of warranty. We would need it.
Anybody have any more questions about this fund?
Mm-mm.
This is the Sugarland Fund. This was established many years ago as a capital fund for the Sugarland and the Blair Bend industrial parks. We have exhausted the Blair Bend money, and what's left is Sugarland money. And the only revenues into this fund is interest. So that's the projection for the interest. And this signal and street maintenance is for the traffic lights that are there at Sugarland, and there is some more money in there in case TVA ends up charging us. TVA ends up mandating LUV charges for depreciation on those poles. That's the only difference in this fund.
Okay. What's the goal of this? Is this fund goal is to be depleted in so many years, to last forever? What's
To be depleted at some point, so
do we have what's that goal? How many years to deplete it?
I'll have to get back to you on that answer. It was established many years ago between the county and the city.
Yeah.
And the city became the caretaker of the fund. So, for example, if we need to pave Sugarland, we could use this money for that.
Jack may have some things he knows.
But like if we needed, but if we have to pay it, is that complete on us and the county?
It's, I believe it's completely on us at this
Okay.
point. So with that, estimate, we're estimating that we still have 330,000 in fund balance in the next fiscal year.
Yeah, and that was one of the questions, the timing, so is that appropriate amount to push the fund down? Should it be more or less? So if I don't know the end date, it's hard to tell if that's an appropriate amount. Yeah, are we spending enough? Are we spending too much? Because I don't know what the goal is.
I need to double check and do the research there specific to that question, but
Okay.
if memory serves me, it's just to be used until it's gone.
Until it's gone.
And the only revenues that's been going in it for years is interest revenue.
Probably one of the biggest expenses was that sign they built out front, you know, the sign going into the park,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
We just need to come up with what the plan is.
Okay,
Okay.
so next is the cable TV fund. This is, the fine folks who are recording our meeting right now. When we push that button, that camera comes on and they stream us to YouTube and they record.
Let them call them.
Maybe. So Loudon County quit using this service last year,
Yeah, they said they're on.
and we are the custodian of the fund. So the money that comes into this fund are contributions from the city of Loudon and the city of Lenore City. And Mr. Touton estimated that $6,000 is what he would charge both cities combined for the meetings that we have planned to be recorded next fiscal year. And then out of this fund, the board members for the cable TV board gets paid, and the person recording our meetings gets paid out of this fund. So that's the only ins and outs unless they need some kind of equipment. Years ago, when we installed this camera equipment, that came out of this fund. So right now, the cable TV board's plan is to continue going forward in this manner until the fund is depleted, and then we and Lenore City would have to find another way to record our meetings and live stream them.
Have to set up our own YouTube channel or something, maybe, like the county did.
Yes, and
Now, they're covering the planning commission meetings as well with that,
they are now covering
So that'll
planning
help
commission
delete it.
meetings
faster.
and going.
And again, is that the goal to, you know, again, our goal, and so last year we did 26,000 out of it. Why was it?
There was an old receivable from Loudon County to the fund that was over 30 years old. And, Mr. Touton discussed with his board to find out if it would be okay to write that off. Because since they are no longer participating in this agreement, we didn't see any likelihood of recovering that. And it was 30 years old.
So are we the decision makers on this fund or just,
We probably are now, aren't we?
or is that board doing
We
it?
are the custodian of the fund and have to pass the budget, but I believe the board is the decision makers to tell us what we put in there.
Well, you said that they decided to write that off last year. We didn't
Well,
vote to do
It was
that,
approved in the budget.
to write that off.
Mhm.
So why is it, the deficit's 13,000, but the change is only 1,200? For 25, 26.
That is a result of me trying to do this, very quickly. Bear with me.
Okay.
This afternoon, that's better. The deficit's 1,200. I apologize for that.
Okay.
Any more questions over this one?
Nope, it's better now.
Okay, thank you for pointing that out. We'll fix it all as we go.
Okay.
This is the personnel reserve fund that was set up many years ago under a previous manager to have contingencies for, payouts whenever somebody retires or quits, terminate, and The only revenues we have going in here right now is interest. And we are requesting that when Facilities and Maintenance Director Harold retires, that we transfer half of that cost back to the general fund out of this fund to cover that. And with that, we would have a projected ending fund balance of $230,000 at the end of next year.
Why half?
Because the other half's coming out of Parks and Rec Fund.
Okay.
Which is where it's
And,
at.
and that's what I thought, so, okay. So it's 100% of the,
General fund
yeah,
amount.
the general fund, okay. All right,
Courthouse Square, we've already discussed. Drug fund. So the drug fund is, money also mandated that it be spent by state law a certain way, and our projections of revenues right now are 6475, and projected expenditures are almost 18,000. The expenditures are $5,200 in capital for police department laptop replacements, so we can buy capital out of this, but we cannot commit recurring funds from this.
Could we buy
So
cars out of this?
if we had enough money, we could. We have in the past. And so the Ninth Judicial Task Force has informed us that there's a little bit of money coming, but we don't know the amount yet, so we've not factored that in here.
so what else is on the 17,980?
It's fuel and maintenance for the vehicle of the person that participates in the Ninth Judicial Task Force, the police department staff.
And then how many laptops?
2. The IT department has determined that if we replace 2 laptops a year for that department, we can keep them restocked in a timely manner.
Are those the in-vehicle?
In vehicle,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't clarify that there. So with those projections, we're estimating a little over $21,000 to be left at the end of next year. Okay, any more questions?
It's in the black, which is good.
Yeah, barely, but.
Yeah, barely, but it's there.
But this is not an operating
It's a
fund,
bonus
so
fund.
it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, next is the tourism fund. This is our hotel motel tax. Projecting revenues at $130,000. This may look quite a bit better when Jellystone
Yeah.
gets ramped up and going.
They're having a ribbon cut next month, by the way.
Yeah, and I've not seen what those revenues are gonna look like yet, so I didn't want to get, too happy here.
Yeah.
And put a lot in here. And
What was it
so
last year?
It was, let's go to the sheet and see.
Was last year our first year collecting it?
No, I believe it was
Second?
our second year.
Because there were a lot of things we didn't realize that weren't
Oh,
on
yeah.
there and that we had
Yeah.
to get on there.
Like the,
So
loves,
last year was
the love stop,
115.
you know.
They stepped up beautifully. They really did.
Last year was 115, we're projecting 114 this year. And projecting this 121,854 for next year.
So that's 121 without what we think Jellystone
It'll
should
be,
be.
it'll be more.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've also found out that the state will collect on our behalf for the Airbnbs inside our city. And that's what this occupancy tax state collected is.
Okay.
Okay.
And then we have a little interest earnings. And I don't know any contributions that are gonna come in next year, so that's why that's a 0.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the detail on those expenditures. I talked to Director Harrell, the pyro company that does the show has went up just a little bit, so we wanted to make sure that there was enough included for that. And then this is 30,000 is the tourism development contribution for the tourism board. and then $15,000 for historic signage.
That's like half of what we had last year. It was 30.
On the signage? It
Do we know
was
what the cost is?
10,000.
Well, the first one was like 21 signs that were about 1,000 a sign.
I can change that, so do we need to change that to 30?
I'd like to
There's
do
money
that.
there to do it.
Yeah, there's money there to do it. So let's do that. There's no one else minds.
No, I think it's. And
Why
we're.
are they $1,000 a sign?
I'll give you all the breakdown. That's with the metal mount. They're like 2 foot by 3 foot signs, like you see on the battlefields. It's got pictures. They're
The metal signs,
not metal. They're,
Was it wood or is it?
no, it's almost like a fiberglass polymer that
Okay.
withstands the sun and so it's not a metal sign. It's metal frame, but it's the polymer with the
Gotcha.
pictures and all that.
Gotcha.
And part of it is,
looks like
I-
podium.
it can be straight up or it can be, at 45. But also for every 10 sign, there was an art design cost that was built into it, because we send it off, they design it and then manufacture it. Okay.
Any more questions, then?
No.
Okay. All right, so let's skip back to the general fund and the rec fund where we have been sharpening our pencils. So this year's focus is on maintaining core services and master planning to help guide our budgets in the future. One of the first things that I would like to ask your help with is, I have a number here for projected recurring revenues, but this is based on a 3% sales tax growth. Last month, the comptroller noted statewide that sales tax has come down a little bit. So I have offered some sensitivity analysis here for sales tax growth. And if you approve everything that's being requested in this budget with no sales tax growth, this would be our bottom line surplus. If we had a 5% decline in sales tax, this would be the surplus. And if we had a 10% decline in sales tax, this would be the surplus. But keep in mind, we are not funding any capital out of the general fund with these projected surpluses.
So taking things out of capital wouldn't help that.
Would not.
Right. Okay.
And what I'm asking your help with is where to project the growth. And we can chew on that for a little bit while we go through the rest of the proposed budget.
And this is what I talked with Melissa about, is that we all have to sort of agree what we want that projection to be, so that we all agree that, okay, we're willing to take the risk or the whatever for a 3% no growth. And then once we all agree, then we can agree on the numbers later. Don't want to get to the numbers later and say, well, we'll fix that by saying a 5% growth and make it go away or underestimate it. So to help them project, we just sort of have to agree or disagree with which projection to use. So are we gonna go with a 3% growth, a flat growth? Because the property tax side of it will stay the same, it's flat, and we're coming up to reassessment. Tangible personal property gets reassessed, and we have an estimate from Mike on it, and of course, we're getting hit again because of equalization. By how much?
So the current year, it's 0.75.
It's going to 0.65.
Something.
It's another
It's going
10%,
down
but
to
what's the
0.65.
dollar amount that it's removing from our cash flow?
I don't have that prepared for you right now.
So it's about a 10% of
That's what it is.
tangible personal property is going down, so that hit us. So does everybody think a 3%, or we want to project it at a zero growth on sales tax?
I like the -5 approach, we're coming in under.
And that may be a way to do it, because,
And you're taking this, you're taking the safe route, I mean.
Right, yeah, safer.
and because we can always add back capital spending
You can.
if we guess wrong, but it's harder to take away, so I
Like
would,
Eric's recommendation.
I would go with that. So let's do it, does everybody agree on a -5?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that'd be
I
fine.
think it makes sense.
Okay. So we'll throw it in with a -5 and see how that works.
Okay, so right now, what we're about to discuss, this would be our surplus.
Well, if we
Um,
agree to everything you want to do.
Correct. Couldn't figure out how exactly to say that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, the number one, the director payout, is that coming out of the other budget? So why is it reflected here?
So I wanted to show
Oh, you're
that
showing it in and out.
this is the
got it.
revenue
Yeah,
in, and this
zero
is
and
the
out.
expenditure
Okay,
out.
no, I got it. I was just looking at the revenue.
Okay, so this is the total personnel dollars included in this budget, and keep in mind, this is also the sanitation fund and the general fund combined. And this takes into account these estimated cost of these requests here. And we'll come back to this in a minute, but let's just go ahead and go through the rest of this. Operations and maintenance, $2.3 million. Debt service, we have to fund $395 approximately. And this is some non-recurring expenditures that the planning department has requested for a comprehensive land use plan and a corridor study out on Highway 72, where we're already experiencing a lot of growth in traffic. So should you approve all of this, that brings us back to this $219,000 number. And that is still not funding any capital from this general fund from recurring revenues, not a penny.
So it's a 219 surplus.
Mhm. So what I would like to do is look at the capital fund and then come back and discuss this, if that's okay with
Sure.
each one of you. So we've sharpened our pencils on the capital fund too, and I'll show you the details shortly. But should we fund all of the requested capital from the capital fund balance, we're estimating a little over $1 million at the end of next year be left. And I want
That's
to
after
go.
if we fund everything.
And I want to go look at the list because we have changed it slightly since we last discussed this. What you will note is the fireboat has been removed from this list. We've sharpened our pencil, got some more quotes on the brush loader. We were able to save $40,000 there. And then on the software implementation estimate, we've decided due to timing, we could take that $400,000 that was previously there and turn it into $280,000, which is 70% of that 400. And then we would like to put the remainder in the next following fiscal year, because if we were to implement by July 1st of next year, we would still have folks from the software company on site helping us with training and reconciliation, making sure everything goes smoothly. So we would have to pay for that during that time frame. So
So you're splitting that over 2 budgets.
splitting it over 2 fiscal years, and then, so the total request is this dollar amount, and the reimbursements from grants, should they be awarded, would be this much, and we would not spend any of the grant funds, funded projects, money on those until the grant was awarded and approved by council.
But it would be a reimbursable, more likely it's gonna be reimbursable.
Yeah, we have to pay for it all up
Yeah.
front and then get the money back.
Yeah.
So this is the net effect from that. And over here, we have ranked by priority and shown what quarter the money would be expended in, expected, estimated.
Okay, so you're saying that the, police cars are priority 5 instead of priority 1?
Yes.
They're still driving cars that was junk when I was there. So what are we gonna do for new cars?
They're priority 5. They wind up in Q1 because some of the upper priority things aren't possible that early on in the, even though they're a high priority because they're large ticket items that we have engineering costs going on and different things like that. But even if we decide to go do them because they're a high priority, that's what makes the priority and quarter a little funny dance that we have to do to figure out how that works. They still would be things that would happen early on because they're quarter 1 expenditures. We know that we can't spend that other money until the later quarters, some of it. So they still wind up in the process of things that we're trying to accomplish in quarter 1.
Because it will take months to get a car in and upfit it.
Yeah.
If they can upfit it right there, so.
Our goal would still be to move on those right after the start of fiscal year.
Yeah.
And the first 2 items are contractually obligated with LUB. Actually, the first one is contractually obligated. This is the phase that they're in now, replacing the water main that we'll have to pay for the paving on. And then this one is the next one, which I think we will be bringing next month, the MOU.
I believe so.
Okay.
They get actual
Within the
bids
next
in.
month or 2.
That's one reason they're at the top of the list, because of where they are they're already moving on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then this one ranks a little bit higher because that was one of the priorities that came out in the strategic plan. I'm sorry, Councilmember Ridings, you weren't here, but when they completed the strategic plan, there'll be an update soon that you'll get to participate in. And this one here, this one's already contractually obligated.
So even though it's,
Still
priority
be the first
5,
one,
it's
yeah.
still gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, unless we decided to take it out, even though it's priority 5. I mean, I think they ranked all of them in what we cannot take out.
Exactly.
That was our goal.
I just wanna make sure because
Yeah.
some of those cars were, Lord.
I'm sure.
When you look at line 18 on the reimbursement, I believe maybe your math went the wrong way. Reimbursement.
It's more than the cost.
Oh, yes. Oh, okay, no, that's not, let me explain that.
Okay.
That's not my math for
Perfect.
once.
Yeah, I see it. That 10,000. Perfect.
Legacy Park was instituted many years ago, and there was a,
It's in a desk drawer.
It's been found now, right?
yeah. So, do one of y'all wanna explain it?
Mm-mm. No,
Okay.
you're doing good.
All right,
It's a legacy issue.
so our previous manager cashed in a letter of credit on that legacy issue at Legacy Park.
Talking about the detention pond down there.
Yeah.
So we have $100,000 sitting on our balance sheet that we can only use to fix those issues.
Nice.
So I've added that $100,000 in because that'll be revenue that we can move off the balance sheet to help pay for those expenses.
Yeah.
Sorry, this one's hard to explain
It is hard to
to begin
explain.
with.
She did really good.
That's why I was offering for somebody else to
I
explain
do not want to touch it.
I'm with it.
it. But thank you for pointing that out, because as quickly as I put this together, there could be some math errors.
So what's the change from this, from the last time that you showed us?
The fireboat at a cost of $250,000 was removed. We have removed $40,000 from this brush loader, and
Software.
we've removed $120,000 from the software to be put in the following fiscal year. And then we've done some ranking on the priority and showing the quarters.
So that was 410 that came out.
Or is the police officer the fire?
That we will,
That's in the personnel budget. This is the
yeah,
travel
we'll get
budget.
back to that.
Anything else on capital?
Go back to the bad sheet now.
The bad sheet, okay. I assume that's this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So now you gotta change your projection up there on revenue to the -5.
Mhm. Which would put us
I know, but
at
we need to
219.
change that at the top. Now, what I'm looking for is where we have discretion on this. So discretion is still in the two planning departments' request. The corridor study and all that. I mean, we can make a choice to do it, not do it, delay it. Debt service, we can't. O&M, how does that rate from last year? What was O&M, our cost last year?
Let's go back and look. So we'll have to do a little bit of math here. Actually, let's not do that. Bear with me just a second. So 2.5 million last year.
So we're down
So we're down
300,000?
about, yep, about 200,000.
And then go back to what was personnel?
Personnel last year or this year?
Last year it was 6.5.
Yeah.
And now we're looking at 7.1. But that's with adding these positions.
Yeah. It's not bad.
Well, the only thing is that hurts. I mean, that's, because that's 428 that will happen from now on.
You don't know it, yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's ongoing.
because, as I was telling them, I mean, we worked hard last year with the tax increase to get $1 million surplus to throw into capital. And now we turn around and 40% of that is gonna go into a recurring on personnel. And
Well, I think these are much needed positions, I think we put off and put off.
no,
So,
I'm with you, but
I mean, it's a cost of doing business.
because, we talked about splitting the public works director, so we talked about it. The assistant recorder, I understand. I'm still not sold on the communications.
You know, that's a shared cost with LUB.
Yeah, I still, that may be a nice to have. I don't know if it's absolutely priority got to have now.
I just don't get taking a policeman and a fireman off and putting somebody on, to play on Facebook. I don't get that.
Well, it'll be more playing on Facebook, but, you can generalize it that way, but, there's a lot they could do to help us
More than a policeman
tell
or
our
a
story.
fireman.
Well, I'm not rating it with the policeman and fireman. You could say that with any of those positions.
Now, Melissa needs help. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, but if you put that up against the policeman and fireman, that ain't a fair comparison either, so. I personally, just from being in the interim position, there's a lot of times there's things you'd like to get out that nobody has the time to do.
I just wonder how much that, because we're looking at that software, how much that would answer that mail.
But who's gonna do this, who's gonna do the software?
Well, that's the whole point of the software. It's meant to, that the current employees can do it and not have to hire somebody to. I don't wanna hire an $80,000 person to run a $12,000 software. That was sort of the purpose of paying 12, was that it runs itself and current employees have to do that.
But why did we take the fire and police out?
Can't afford it.
We were prioritizing
that.
I'm not talking about the communications, I'm talking about over the assistant recorder and the public works is what I would put up there. And plus, we gave fire and police a hire last year, and we delayed Melissa's. Plus, what I understand is the police that work's being done by part-time right now.
What was your overtime past year,
For what department?
please?
I believe in the 50,000 range, somewhere 50 to 60 range.
But it was much higher the year before that, right?
More likely, yeah.
Well, the 12-hour shift should cut down.
But that was one of the reasons we
Shifted
hired
overtime.
Yeah.
an extra policeman was to cut down on part-time and overtime.
And the 12-hour shift
Maybe
was
like this.
shorter too.
Cut down some
Yeah,
percentages of that.
that would be the only one up there that I would just, I mean, we're cutting it to some nickels and dimes, cause I just hate cutting in the fund balance as much as, cause how much will we, right now, we're cutting in the fund balance if we execute the capital plan.
If we execute the capital plan, it would be almost $1 million.
So $1 million that, basically we're in deficit $1 million. Well, last year we were basically balanced from PO&M through capital.
If you net this with the estimated surplus, so the 976 plus 219, so what, 750?
Yeah.
But, and remember that in 27, there's already 2 million on the capital request list. Things don't get better down the road.
Is there a possibility for an alternative, maybe Manager Goins to ask LUB to fund the position 100% and do a reimbursement from the city?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing we could look at.
And the city purchased the software, which, I mean, that's in this budget. That GoGov software, and we wouldn't split the cost of that.
No, that'd be for city.
That'd be,
We showed it to the utility folks.
right.
They weren't interested.
Well, I think that what Manager Goins come up with Hometown Grid, some of that stuff takes
We're
place.
just working there with it
Yeah.
on that side.
It would just have to be a request and we'll make the LUB, I guess.
So right now our surplus is 219. Okay, I'm really counting it at like 500, because that 275 from the planning department is a one-time thing, not a request.
Right.
So I still view that as a capital request and not in the operating budget. So that changes that to, the surplus is about 5.
Yeah, if you add that to the 219.
What'd you just do?
I believe.
Do that way.
Yeah, but that's still with the old revenue up there, not the negative 5.
No, look down here. Sorry, I'm scrolling back and forth.
So, okay, yeah, 494 is probably
Close to half.
that's probably the true, and the other half we're eating up with the personnel and the COLA.
And another thing that's changed too is we had 120,000 in the previous year's capital budget for the Axon and the flock safety for the police department, and we've moved that over to operational.
Well,
So
and
that's another change to the operational.
that's something else that I wanted you to flush out for us by the next workshop is, on that capital budget, how many of those things are gonna turn into recurring contracts, like flocks and all that? And which ones are truly one-time events? So some things that we have on there aren't one-time events, replacing police cars and replacing things. Our plan is we're gonna do that every year versus, true one-time things. So like police flooring, that's a one-time thing, we hope. The lawnmower, how many times we have to do, because pretty soon this is gonna turn into from discretionary to non-discretionary, because we're just trying to maintain, and then all of a sudden we're back in the hole again because we can't go do true capital improvements anywhere. It's gonna turn into a capital maintenance plan. So that's what I'm sort of concerned about, so that might be something that you ought to chew on by the next, and we're gonna solve it tonight, but,
No, and we won't solve it by the May workshop either. It'll take a little bit more planning. I mean, I can tell you what's gonna be recurring and what's not gonna be recurring on this list. But as far as getting it into a presentation format, that'll take a little bit of time.
because what I'm looking for is what's truly discretionary, that if we had to say we can't afford it versus things we can't say no to. I mean, we have to do it.
It's gonna cost us more in the long run if we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because part of what we're trying to do is, yeah, some of the maintenance was deferred over years and we're catching up by buying these new things. I don't wanna put us in that hole again that we have to catch back up like what you were talking about.
We read that one time.
Yeah, so I don't wanna go there, but I don't wanna eat up this surplus that our only option is gotta raise taxes again. So,
So
that's why we're paying you the big dollars, Kevin.
and this software is one of the priorities for the strategic plan, and it will definitely help our efficiencies
Mhm.
here in the city and give customers better access, citizens better access to make payments, view their bills, have more real-time data, financial data.
No, you don't have to sell us on the software.
I'm not trying to sell you on it, but I'm trying to say that it is possibly in the discretionary category, but it's not gonna become a recurring cost this much, but there will be a recurring cost
Yes,
to keep the software.
no, and I understand it, because there'll be a subscription and update and all that.
Which
And I get
replaces
that.
another recurring cost.
But
Yeah,
what
the
we're hoping
GoGov-
is that with a better detail, there might be cost savings on purchasing and all the other stuff too.
GoGov is the other one that's, truly discretionary, but it's in the same category as this. It's going to increase our efficiency and effectiveness.
And it's gonna improve customer service as well.
Yeah, so I know, I understand it.
And we don't have communication.
And, I mean, The mayor and I have seen this
Oh,
thing
yeah.
8 times,
We can do
we
the
get
seminar.
it, we get it.
I feel like we whittled out all of the non-discretionary before we brought this list to you.
Yeah. Well,
You definitely sharpened the pencil on it.
the non-discretionary, so you whittle
Or
out
the
the.
discretionary, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, we
So,
whittled that out.
but how many of these are gonna be recurring now? That it's gonna cause us, that once we purchase this item, it's gonna end up in the maintenance budget, which will go up, or the operating budget will go up, and we're, instead of using capital to improve efficiency, it's actually causing O&M to go up. And that's what I'm trying to get a handle on, that, we keep this up, we're gonna have zero, I said it'll be raise taxes, will be the only way to have capital money.
Right.
Because, we could add 20 more things on here that we all think are absolutely, we gotta have. It's, what can we afford at the end of the day?
They won't be every year, but there's some recurring costs out of all of these I have highlighted.
We'll just need to break that out.
Yeah, it's,
I'm gonna have to say something, Kenny's right, we've sat here for all these years and talked about, and we keep talking about adding more work to the employees, and somebody in-house can do it, and somebody can do that, and we end up not getting the correct amount of employees. I'm fixing to retire, and I'm creating a little bit of a budget problem by retiring, but also, I wanna take care of these guys that are here, Mike and I talked about it, so when you make these cuts and you take these people away, our town is growing. I don't care what you think, you can sit up there and do this all you want to, but we just went to the courthouse this weekend for a ceremony down there that was a big event for the city of Loudon. There was no one there to even report on, talk about it. There was no one from the city of Loudon. It was a grand opportunity to give away our town and what we were doing. And there were a few pictures taken, I've seen a few things on Facebook, we should have been able to grab that. These guys here can't take on more and answer questions about potholes and do things like that. They're just limited. So when we talk about, once again, we can't have another policeman, we can't have another fireman, we can't have a communications person, we're just digging ourselves deeper in a hole. One day you're gonna have to face this. One day you're gonna have to look at it hard. And I appreciate your comments and trying to cut, but I don't think personnel is the avenue. I don't think signage is the avenue for promoting Loudon. I think somebody, as Kenny says, if it is just on Facebook, Loudon's gotta be promoted. We're running into that with Kimley Horn, that's what they're saying. We are lacking so much in promoting this now. We don't have a key person, we don't have that. This is Kevin's idea, I'm not up here banking for him. Please, please, be careful as we continue to add more to the employees. And I really left the public works department alone. I didn't add a lot of things to it because I didn't think it was fair to the new director on how he or she would like to operate this department. That list is huge too. And that person's gonna come in and start adding a lot of things that he or she's gonna need in the future years. And I'm sorry, I just had to say this, but personnel is not the place to start, guys. And we gotta promote this town, we gotta talk about this town. We lack it in recreation. We're going through a survey right now that we spent close to $75,000 in Kimley Horn. They're telling us you're not promoted, you don't have a nice entrance to the park. Things that put us on the map. We think it's useless. We need more police, we need more firemen. I want an entrance to the park. Kevin wants a communication person. We need all these things. As you say, we all stand up here and talk about it. So please don't add more to what we're already doing because we can't do it. We can't do it efficiently. We just can't. And they won't say it because they need a job. I can say it. We're maxed out. Sorry. Goodbye.
Thanks, Mark. You got some more? Let's.
I would like to talk about the recreation fund.
Oh, God.
I want to go back.
Wait a minute, I just spoke too soon.
I need to go back to this for a moment, because when I bring you a proposed budget ordinance at May workshop, I would like it to be in its final draft. So I'd like to walk through and get some head nods on each of these personnel changes. If you would do me that service.
My head nods for all of them. I know the communication specialist, it's a new position, but I think it's important, as Mark said, we tell our story. We don't depend on other people to tell our story. We tell it from our standpoint, not people spinning it another way or whatever. And we know that that's, social media is where you get your story out.
And it's a whole lot more than social media. Like,
Yeah.
It's our entire communication strategy, how we do that, how we tell our story, highlights on different departments and people, so that one of the things you all talked about in your previous strategic planning
Oh, yeah, communications
was
a lot.
bringing a better light to the city, and the utilities talk the same way. And so this is, the heart in this is that we are constantly creating content that goes out on social media. Somebody that helps, if I have to talk with news organizations, how are we telling our story if things come up? Things like newsletters, either external and or internal. Creating a lot of content around things we do here, so that we are always telling our story. We're not leaving it to somebody else to tell the story the way they want to tell it. We tell the good and we tell the bad. If we have to increase revenues by passing a tax increase, or if we're buying something, or if somebody's done something fantastic, that's our transparency. That's how we become transparent in everything that we do, is that we tell the story, good, bad, or indifferent, and nobody's ever telling the good things that we do. Anything that shows up on social media is the bad things that we do. And so that's the heart behind it, was to meet one of the goals you all had strategically a few years back, and then make us more transparent and increase our positive footprint in the community, what we're doing well. So that's the heart behind it.
How much of that proposed job would overlap with a Main Street director? And cannot some of it be done by the Main Street director, since line number 4 in Main Street is promotion
I
and
would think,
communications.
in our view, the Main Street Director overlap would be the Main Street Director helping use because we'd be putting technology and different things. They would communicate, they would collaborate on lots of things. We probably would do we're trying to hire somebody that's skilled journalism or in some of those areas to create content to tell the story. The Main Street Director, I would think, would be coming up with a lot of what they're trying to communicate, and we would use our person to get it the most effectively communicated. Is our heart behind it, is our goal.
So, Melissa, what you're asking is you're basically you're polling,
Basically, correct.
Just to kind
as
of,
presented, I would vote no.
Thank you.
I could go for them all except for the communications director right now. I understand the need. I mean, I'm huge in strategic communications. I don't think we have it. I don't think we have the workload and the true job designed out yet between, we talk about talking with citizens, but then we talk about promotion, which would fall in that tourism versus Main Street versus, so I think there's so much that still needs to be flushed out and a job truly designed before we go to this step. And not hire somebody to figure out what they're going to do. I don't see the workload and the demand yet.
Because it will all need.
That's right, and so I gotta, and there may be different pots of money we can use. It might be some of the tourism money, it might be some of the courthouse money, it might be to help offset out of the general fund. It just, my concern is we're, about 40% of the work we did last year is now going to this. I understand the need, but as I said, at the end of the day, we might have a lot of people, but we don't have any money to do capital improvement on this city when it comes to infrastructure and stuff like that. And what I don't want to do is we do this and turn around and have to lay off people because we can't afford it anymore.
Sir, with all due respect,
So, but I understand it. So we're not cutting from people. It's just adding them at the right time based on our cash flow. That's what I'm saying.
once again,
We're
sir,
just keeping
with all due
40,000.
respect, I think that I have heard this story so many times down through the years, and we haven't done anything about it in the past. I think it's time to, and I'm not talking about the communications director, I don't even know what that position is. I'm just talking about, we get to this point, and we're trying to operate the city, and I've got so many things I can put on that list that's not even close to being on there. And I don't wanna leave it like that, but it's gonna be left like that, and what I would consider a mess with the new public works director. And the new recreation director is gonna have to straighten out a lot of things. Mike has done a good job of revamping down there, but he's got the same problem. We just don't have the current staffing to do what is being requested of our departments. I just ask that you really respect that. Maybe we can't do I mentioned to you guys a month ago about the bridges at Legion, both of them, that thing needs to come out, it's a safety issue, it's never been discussed again. We've got a problem with, several things, it's several $100,000 worth, that's gonna come out of the recreation fund. That's deficit, but one of the problems we probably didn't maintain it properly. And we just spend a day with us or spend a week with us, whatever it takes to see what our departments do, and 90% of public works is going to sanitation. That's sad, and it's really sad, and that's all we do is get garbage. So, there's a lot of things that we're just hiding here, in my opinion. Thank you.
Okay. What?
I'm good with the personnel changes, with what's on the board right there. I'm good with it.
I'm back and forth on the communication specialist as well, where I see the need for it, but similar to what Councilman Cardwell's talking about, is that need today, or is that need in 9 months, is that need in 15 months? With a lot of things we are rolling out with everything we're trying to get done downtown, all the different things that are coming together, would it be a better time to bring on that communication specialist whenever we have those others up and running, is my question.
Would it be
So I'm
possible,
pretty torn on that one.
would it be possible to contract with someone, like we talked about initially, maybe trying to just contract with someone for
Yeah,
6 months and just,
This cost is comparable to that, but if we contract with someone, at
Just to
least
see.
we don't have to pay.
but then we're not
benefits
tying it
and
up to like
compensation.
what's going on from now on. We could, just to see if it, to see
Or
that.
part-time.
a trial run.
Yeah,
That-
yeah,
that-
yeah.
They would come in here and do their very best, to try to get,
You know, not
That
on the
permanent
front
role.
end. It's, cause it is a new position, there's some things, like
I
you
mean,
said,
we
it's
can
not
look
defined.
at, we can look at part-time, we can look at a contract to develop it. It's just jumping into an endless commitment when our money's not endless right now.
If that's
So
something,
that's some options to come back and look.
something we toss around and see.
I
just-
definitely like the idea of the part-time at the moment.
Yeah, just since it's so new.
And then, and then the workload could dictate, hey, this person needs to be full-time, and I think we get a better snapshot in
Yeah.
9 months.
I've talked to
say,
people who said they'd do it part-time remotely.
Yep.
And they,
Well, I don't
because a
know.
lot of it's, so.
Yeah, I think if we could get someone here locally that really knows Loudon. and that kind of
Yeah.
thing, You know,
Yeah, that'd be,
Not remote,
That's a
if
different-
this was to happen, it needs to be
someone here.
someone that can tell.
somebody that
us.
loves Loudon.
And they need to be mobile inside Loudon.
yeah, they'd be able
Exactly.
to, they'll report at the courthouse or
Be able to be accessible and show up.
be at the fast, be wherever it takes. So, maybe we're leaning towards an idea of a part-time,
Or a contract or something, yeah.
part-time contract to see and develop, as the need develops, ramp up that pay.
And still splitting that with the utilities.
Mhm.
You know,
That'll be a little more difficult. We'll work on that.
it's charging.
Talk to the boss.
Yeah.
He's the boss, he can do it.
Right, what, I'm talking about the details behind the scenes to make all that happen.
Yeah.
Well, but we can work through it. Council member writings, is there anything else you'd like to add? Or if you take this, if we turn this into a part-time position, are you okay as presented with the personnel changes?
I was still voting no.
Because of the public safety
Yes.
positions? Okay. And how does everyone, feel about the non-recurring planning department expenditures for the comprehensive land use plan and corridor study?
Does that need to be discretionary?
Well, I mean, it is discretionary, we can make.
Is that where it's at?
Choice.
So right now, it's
Well,
shown.
we're arguing over gap on where it should be,
Yeah.
whether a capital budget or the operating budget.
Yeah, we should place it.
But the bottom line is, we can make a choice to do it or not
I
do
mean,
it.
you can still put it in there. You
Now,
can still choose.
I understand the comprehensive land use, because that's the basis of everything that we have in zoning that we have issues with.
How old is the one we have now, Michael? Do you know? Do we even have one?
Well, our first zoning started in about 1967, 68, when the zoning map
Oh,
was.
it's good.
adopted.
Yeah, nothing's changed since then.
Since then, the state or someone besides us has maintained the zoning ordinance.
So it's,
And by us, I mean the city.
yeah, it's definitely time, I think.
I said, I have no
It is
issue with that.
discretionary, yeah.
It's discretionary, but that's something, because that then sets the basis for everything else we do.
Yeah.
If we get that wrong, it doesn't matter. The corridor study, are there grants or funding available to help with something like that?
We can look at that through the process. I think the immediacy of some development and what we've seen recently is really why it's being brought to you. It's been recommended in previous fiscal years, and change of leadership with the interim and new manager. We've kind of been able to realize that as an option. I think it dovetails well with our downtown efforts. We need to be bringing people into the city, efficiently, and, we have, Sugar Limb and exit 72 for that. And so we have a transportation master plan, that's citywide. This is something that's, my intent is to focus it at the interchange and around the interchange. We have limited data there. There's a lot of other things that, through signalization, backage roads, kind of the connective, requirements between some parcels. There's some zoning, that could be involved in that. So there's, land use considerations, and there's just a lot going on there, that we need to position ourselves well, to set a good path for the future.
But we also want to try to not have so many driveways, entrances onto 72, like we've got too many. And some of them don't line up,
Yeah, there's some different,
And
there's some.
that's because you don't have a plan,
You can think of some of the first part of, when going into the North City, where every driveway is coming out on the
Yeah.
road, and that's where we're winding up out here if we're
Yeah.
not really careful. And we wind up in a place where we don't have, but then you think about on up around Walmart in that area where they've got, defined what they need to do for frontage and backage roads and things like that, so you can have businesses facing other ways and not congest your traffic so badly that you, all of a sudden, you're not even that big, but you've created traffic problems by us not having a plan for how we're gonna handle businesses when they come in. It's not to recruit businesses, it's to see what we need to do to make sure whenever they are pounding down the doors trying to come, that we're not penalizing our residents for years to come by making bad traffic situations, which we're on the verge of, right?
we already have some out there, we know, in that interchange, so there's some out there.
Okay, let me explain myself just a little bit better to Melissa and together. It's not that I'm against this, but when I was elected, I'm in a very unique situation because I have to do what's best for the city. But on the other hand, the fire, police, public works, and utilities just won't put me in here, because I worked with them boys for so long. So I have to fight for them, and it's nothing personal, okay? Is there a happy medium in there? Yes. Where? I don't know right yet. So I'll end with that. I mean, I have to vote my conscience.
That's
And
what
I have to fight for these guys.
that's what we're all elected to do, and that's what we try to do, so.
Because
I want it to be viewed that I'm fighting for our people too. Like,
this city
I-
is the employees, and
Yes.
I will always be that way.
I hope all of our directors know, I think they would all tell you, I'm maybe pro-employee, maybe to a fault at times.
And I have
Just
to,
see how
but
we-
I have to be for the city.
Yes,
And-
how we do
and this-
those things.
And the struggle is, should we go into a recession? Who do you lay off first? That is Kevin used the word heart,
Yeah.
I apologize. Used the
Well,
word
are you
heart
asking me a
earlier.
question on that?
No, the
Okay.
heart, no, it's a rhetorical question, but the heart of the matter is, if we add every position on the list, and then things take a turn for a worse in the economy.
Got you.
And that's
what I'm having to deal with.
And that's the point, Chris, so we're also fighting for all the taxpayers in Loudon too. Okay, because they have to bear the brunt.
So I have to do both. So
Well, that's what we all
it's
do.
an attorney battle.
Well, it's not just
We're
you,
not-
we all do the same thing.
Yeah, we're not fighting against employees. It's a balance between how much we can afford and how much the taxpayers can absorb.
And we all got here the same
Well, I
way.
just hope y'all understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah,
For sure.
we're coming from the same area.
For sure.
Well, you might say it a little bit more eloquently.
Well, no, we know what you mean. So, you through with, we got anything else on the budget that we
Thank
need
you
to
for
tell
the
you?
lively discussion, let's move to the recreation fund, and then I will
Okay.
Hey,
be quiet.
one last question,
Yes, sir.
On the 3% COLA, is that a one-time, is that a
That's
permanent increase?
recurring.
Recurring, okay,
Mhm.
gotcha.
And that also drives up, when you increase salaries,
Yeah, TCRS.
that drives up TCRS contributions and our FICA tax
It's
contributions.
a ripple.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, moving on to the rec fund. So I will have to adjust the recurring revenues here a bit, since we're gonna go with the 5%. I don't have my numbers up there, there it is. So I'll have to adjust my revenues down 121,000, since we're gonna go with the 5% decline in sales tax. So in this plan, should everything be approved as presented, would put us in a $1.292 million deficit for the year. And what makes this fund unique is it funds its own capital and operations and maintenance and personnel all in one fund, whereas the general fund, we have a separate capital fund that we consider. So should the 3% COLA be approved, and you've already approved the mandatory CRS adjustment tonight, and split off the facilities and maintenance director position into 2 positions to have a Parks and Rec director, and fund all of the requested capital, that puts us in that $1.1292 million deficit.
And show fund balance based on that? Well, it'll be more than that, right? So she'll leave us a fund balance of about 1 point.
Be about 1.5.
Okay.
And so let's go look at the capital, because those are the larger items that are, so this will not happen this way, but this changed from the last time we discussed it. The bids that were previously awarded to the sport court improvements and repave the trail, we went ahead and put the total cost of that into next fiscal year's request as well, because we're not sure the timing of the completion of those projects, and we
Yeah,
wanna
sure,
make
how to
sure that
split
we're
it.
covered enough to pay
Yeah.
it. We don't, right now, we can't tell how to split it up
Yeah.
between the years. So we also added a vehicle for the Parks and Rec director. We can't take one vehicle, Director Harold's vehicle,
two
and split it
people.
into 2, so.
The sidecar.
Okay, and this is a cost for the boat dock removal that Director Harold mentioned earlier. And the
Removal or repair?
removal.
Which one is that? The one down on the main channel?
Yeah, right there.
So there would not be one back?
Rooftops?
We do wanna put one back, we just don't know between what the downtown master plan's gonna do and what we're talking about on the riverfront down there. And he raised that up the level of importance because he's afraid somebody's gonna get hurt down there. They keep it tied off, but people keep going out on it, so we decided in this year's budget just to get the removal in.
Okay.
So
You're
that we
gonna
know
catch
what
more
to do.
flack on the one not being down there than you are.
Yeah, what are they gonna put in the meantime?
It's a risk we're taking. That's up to you guys.
So nothing, I mean, what's the, do we have an estimated, repair cost?
We can get that, we have to get.
Can we weigh the estimated repair cost to that removal? Cause yeah, that, I will catch so many phone calls.
Oh, it'd be.
Yeah.
So
why-
is
why'd you get rid
is
of
that
this?
pier not repairable?
We don't know, John, the thing has been hit so many times in the last couple of years, the severe flooding, that, and the galvanized piping that they put in for the legs, it's just rotten. It's just not standing up.
Okay.
It's more of a fear factor thing, may stand another 10 years, but I don't want to leave with that responsibility. I can get someone to come in and see what they would, charge to repair it. It's probably gonna be about the same cost, somewhere in the neighborhood. We built it for $35,000. So we're looking at probably $75,000 to $100,000. That one still has to come out. There's still gonna be a time that there's not gonna be.
So that would be removal and replacement, not a repair.
That's correct.
So the one we have right now is beyond repair.
I can't answer that without a professional opinion. We have repaired, we put 6x6 lumber in it, we've done a lot of unengineered fixes in the past few years. And it's just at the point now that it's questionable. It would need an expert opinion, I guess, an engineer. Same with the next thing she has there, they removed the bridge at Leeson Park, and kept saying it was a historic bridge. It has no historic value to this town at all.
That's the big blue bridge, right?
Yes, sir. And it needs to be taken all the way down to the metal. And we're looking at probably $300,000 just to do that and then rebuild it. And then again, it comes back to what, on my soapbox about a few minutes ago. It takes a lot of people to maintain that type of equipment, that type of bridge, with painting and things that go on, and we're just not equipped to do those things. Again, I would rather an engineer or someone professional look at it and tell you what to do with it. Just needs to stay hot on the agenda. And I do understand there's gonna be 15 or 20 people that are upset in Carolina Way about the fishing pier down there. Because they tear the barricades down and we put on it, they just go right.
Was the
across.
fishing pier at the boat dock? You've got boat dock.
You know, that's fishing park.
It's right there next to
It was
the
put
ramp.
in as a boat dock.
Was it fish off?
It's become a fishing park.
Yep.
I think Kevin was correct in saying the two programs are gonna meet, Kathy's program and Parks and Rec program are gonna meet right in that area somewhere. If two is gonna do the riverfront development, is it gonna be Parks and Rec or is it gonna be the downtown organization? So that thing is right on the edge of who is really responsible to take that and move forward with it. It was put in as just a little convenience dock that has much room. We could actually take and move it, in my opinion. I would like to see it over where Butch Thompson built this little thing right here on the right-hand side. And it would serve better for the boats. The boats could get in and out much easier than they can now. It's on the main channel. It's just, look at Rick Dover's dock, it's right on the stream. It's laying in the water again. It takes those same hits. And I don't know what happened to Rick this last time.
March, I think March he did, didn't
Is that what
he?
happened
Yeah,
this
March,
time?
yeah.
I
March
just noticed it
was-
this last month or so.
And our thought in dealing with those two things with danger issues, is the hit we take if somebody got hurt on it or drowned at it.
Well, especially we know there's a problem.
Yeah,
We
and
can't say.
we're barricading it
We're
off,
not
we
there.
know there's a problem.
I guess all we're saying is, I think we understand the
Yeah, the importance of
removal. Can you go ahead and start getting estimates on a replacement? Doesn't mean you have to do it, just give us an idea what it'd take to replace, but I understand getting ahead of our plan and saying, oh, we put it in and go, oops, it should have been over here versus here. I get it.
Yes, sir, I think that's a smart way of looking at it as well, but it's gonna take so much money to remove, and it's gonna take money to rebuild, and we're squeezing every nickel we can right here. I just want to be honest, I just threw together a number of 75,000 because of, I was hoping that might be removal and replace, but we don't know. We'll work on that.
Track will take that thing out in 30 minutes.
Well, there's a lot of professional things we have to do now because of EPA and EVA and Board of Engineers. We can't just go in there, like you say, take a track and rip it apart.
Just
The
cut it
Blue Bridge
loose,
has the
cut it
same
loose,
Cut it
problem.
loose and let it go.
It's concrete.
Next
Oh,
week.
is it?
The Blue Bridge has the same problem. It's painted in oil-based paint. It's been painted in lead paint. It's got all kinds of things that it's gonna probably have to be stripped down before it can be removed. The legal way of doing things have really increased the cost. I'll be happy to get estimates on both if that's what you prefer. But I think in the long run, in my opinion, I would remove the walking bridge, the car bridge, whatever, horse and buggy bridge, whatever it is, and just put a standard walking bridge.
What, do you even need one there? You got one, you still got one down at the park side.
Yeah, well, we're putting one in Municipal Park, and we could just piggyback off the one we're done with that, so.
Yeah, I mean, does it need, just remove that bridge, does it need a replacement?
Well, there's one on upstream.
There's one, that's what I'm saying, there's
Those
one
same phone
upstream.
calls will come in,
That's
that,
how you- Yeah, I worry about.
Remove it.
I'm with you.
I slightly worry about, people will be too lazy to walk down to the end, they'll wanna cross that.
I mean, if they're walking, they're there to walk. let them walk a little
Well,
more.
I guess I mean the kids at the park that wanna get to that
Right.
basketball goal,
Right.
the playground, the basketball, they'll be running across the, which they might be doing it now, but they'll be running across the
Just let them
creek.
swim the creek.
Yeah,
Get rid of it.
Wintertime, you can. You jump
but I could live
You
with
possibly
that.
have the bridge built and then just take that one out and set the new one in. Again, you're looking probably, I think the one we're talking about, the park, in the neighborhood of 350.
I think that money there.
They're not
That
cheap.
bridge, good chip up, the dogs in
Okay, what else on the recreation fund?
The next on the list is, pool resurfacing and pump equipment replacement.
there.
Is there anything changed on this than what we originally looked at, or have we looked at this?
You've already looked at it.
I've always seen this.
Is there any changes to it?
I think that, where she was at, they probably double in cost. The pool's resurfacing and pump replacement. That's a gamble. We've had those pumps for 12 years now. The theory is it's time to change them out and add newer stuff in there that will last another 12 years. That's like buying a car with a warranty. Doesn't guarantee that it's gonna last any longer than the old one is, so it adds a lot of cost. The resurfacing is something we should have been doing every 5 years, and Rainey has worked with a couple of companies to get pricing on that, and we're looking at about $125,000 minimum. And what they do, they go in, they take the liner basically, it's inside the pool, which has some cracks in it, there's surface cracks. But they will go in and clean that up and then resurface it, and you need to figure that out every 5 years. The pool has become an expensive operation as well, and you're probably gonna look at $300,000 every 5 years minimum to refurbish and do things in the pool.
Is there any benefit, I'm just asking, to go to salt water?
We're right on the edge. Can we create enough salt water
I mean, is that a cost savings?
No.
Would be?
It could be, but we're right on the edge of it being sanitary for public use, works
Okay.
great for home pools, and some of them have done it. But the extreme cost up front is,
Okay.
it's pretty tough. I think your liner and everything will last longer.
Okay, any other questions from anybody on the? Okay, Melissa, another one? Do you have anything else? Another fund, or do you need any other anything more from us on the recreation fund?
I want to thank you for your candid input at this stage in the process. I appreciate that, because this will enable me to bring you a budget ordinance at workshop in May, also a pay classification plan
Yeah.
with the correct positions on it and the COLA, and the first reading of our tax rate, which will not change
Okay.
based on this plan.
Okay,
Thank you for your input.
thanks
And I'd
everybody.
also like to thank the directors for all the hard work
Yeah.
that they've put in to get us to this point as well. It's definitely a team effort.
Team effort.
Mhm.
Thank you, Melissa.
You're welcome.
Okay, next item is department reports. Does Chief Rebecca, you have anything?
No, sir.
Mark, anything else you want to report on?
No, sir, just forgive me for my little outburst there, but it is something that's been bothering us and quite some time.
We'll probably terminate you come July. so.
Well, thank you for that.
City Engineer Hogan, you have anything?
Just thank you for what you voted on earlier. Nothing else with it.
Okay, all right. Megan, you have everything you need for the minutes that you know of?
As I know.
Okay, all right. Unless you have anything.
No, thank you.
Manager Goins, do you have anything else? Okay, council member reports, Councilmember Newman, anything from Rick?
We rescheduled this month's meeting for next month.
Okay,
As that, I'll have that for, in next month.
okay, all
I'll show
right,
that date.
okay. Vice Mayor Dixon from planning, we had short,
We've got several things here. The Historic Zoning Commission, we met on April 2nd. An application, certificate of appropriateness for replacement of awning and installation of signage, B1A Solar, 410 4th Street. That signage was approved by the board, and,
It's in the old chamber office.
yeah, it's
That went
next
in
to, next to the funeral home.
Mhm.
Okay, then the planning commission, we had a, site plan review from CRM Concrete, 6289 Corporate Park Drive. Applicant was Hollings Head Material. That was also approved. That was M1 Light Industrial, by the way. And then we had another applicant, plat review from Tennessee National LLC. Owner of Tennessee National applicant. Tyler Gross was PD Plan Development guy, and that was approved also.
Okay.
And then we had a special call meeting on April 23rd. And it was new business, the final plat review of Tennessee National, Part 28 by Tyler Gross. That was also approved. In the applicant, 168 Huntington Park site plan review. Applicant Tom Wortham from Huntington Park Drive. M1 Light Industrial, approximately 39.82 acres. That was also approved.
Okay. Okay.
I had another applicant from Huntington State Park, or Park site, I keep wanting to say state. From Huntington Park Drive, Lot 5, M1 Light Industrial, 20 acres. That was also approved.
Yeah, those two are, Hollingsworth is putting two new spec buildings in Huntington Park across from Monterey Mushrooms. One 150-something thousand square feet and one 120-something thousand square feet. He's already got tenants that are inquiring about it to get them built. So that's one reason we had to kind of have a special call meeting. And then the Tennessee National, they had advertised for their spring sale. I guess it was last Saturday. Yeah. So that was one reason they had to have a special call. So thank you, Tim.
That's all.
Okay, Councilmember Cardwell.
The Loudon Utility Board met today at 4:30. First thing on that, we passed a resolution acknowledging the Tennessee Consolidated Retirement System, the mandatory percentage at 4.24. We amended section 2.3 of the personnel rules of the LUV payroll and policy manual, given the manager reducing the time and position, similar to what we did from 24 to 6 months. We amended the resolution to amend the pay classification to rename a position from an engineering assistant to GIS coordinator with no salary change. We authorized a contract for backflow specialists to implement a residential backflow prevention device testing program. We authorized a contract number 1 for pump station sewer improvements with LJA Engineering. There was no change to the overall contract price. We just we split that into 2. We authorized LJ Engineering task order for amendment number 1 for asset management and modeling tasks. We authorized the purchase and installation of indirect gas-fired water bath heater at the North Station. We authorized agreement with CTI Engineering for professional services. We authorized the obsolete office furniture at the old LUV and City Hall to be donated to the Loudon Volunteer Emergency Rescue Squad and the Loudon County Government. And we established a natural gas rate at 120. Nothing report from tourism or the historic preservation.
Okay, thank you. A few service anniversaries we want to make note of. For LUV, there was, I have Donovan Giles, wastewater treatment plant, 2 years. Andy Belcher, he has a combined, he's at the wastewater treatment plant now, but he has 14 years of combined service. He moved over from the city over into the utilities. Same with Lee Ramsey, wastewater treatment plant, 14 years this month. And we recognize Don Watson, our customer service department, with 25 years with LUV. City of Loudon, we had Will Jenkins, who was here earlier, for a 1-year anniversary from the Loudon Police Department. Jay Bonilla, Loudon Police Department, 1 year. Autumn Luna, Loudon Police Department, 2 years. Ben Everett, Loudon Police Department, 3 years. So that was a busy month in the police department. Macklin Russell, Facilities and Maintenance, he's been with us 9 years. Jeremy Freeman, Facilities and Maintenance, has been 17. And then Andy Disney with the Loudon Fire Department's been here 19 years. We really want to thank, as Councilmember Ridings, this is the biggest asset we have is these employees. And we want to thank them for their service that they give to our utilities and our city. Any other comments from anyone? Okay, no, nobody disagrees. This meeting is adjourned. Thank y'all for coming.
Hey, would be nice.
Come on.
We did that.
Turn her over.
Kevin,